For more than 47 years, our nonprofit, Resources for Seniors, has supported older adults and caregivers in Wake County. We can help in many different ways, including adult daycare programs, ramps and repairs, in-home supports, and consultation and referrals. Indeed, we're who to call when you're not sure who to call. Resources for Seniors stands ready to support you in your caregiving journey.
I'm Mark Costley, the founding attorney of Clarity Legal Group, the Triangle Area estate planning and elder law firm. You know those people who become overwhelmed dealing with the multiple challenges of being a caregiver? Clarity Legal Group helps people establish legal tools that avoid confusion, give them peace of mind, give them asset protection, and in some cases help them qualify for Medicaid. We help people get it right in the face of some of life's most important challenges. We don't just provide wills, trusts, and powers of attorney. We provide solutions and ongoing support. We provide clarity and peace of mind. It would be a privilege to help you.
Are you like 80% of seniors who would like to age in your current home? Call Wisdom Senior Care. Are you currently taking care of a loved one and finding yourself frustrated, tired, and even lonely? Call Wisdom Senior Care. Always available, dependable, and flexible. Come partner with Wisdom Senior Care, keeping wisdom at home.
Hello, how are you? And today we're going to talk about technology for older adults and for caregivers. But first of all, we need to go ahead and redefine what technology is. My name is January Brown, and I'm with Eastern Carolina Council, Area Agency on Aging, and I work as the Family Caregiver Specialist. So I focus on helping older adults and caregivers remain in the community as long as possible. Today we're going to do a little outside of the box thinking. We're not going to deal with inside the box. We're going to talk about lots of technology today, either low-tech or high-tech, that's going to help us. But where are we at today? Today we're in a new era. We're being faced with a new pandemic, and it's forcing individuals to start looking at technology as a way of communication and staying in their home. We have decreased care availability, such as individuals coming in your home. Is it safe or not safe? Also, decreased access to products like the toilet paper challenge of 2020, where nobody could get any of those products. Also, decreased socialization and physical activities due to our senior centers, a lot of our locations being closed, and people not being able to engage, along with increased anxiety, stress, loneliness, and depression. But most of all, we're all experiencing change. It's a new world now. So let's discuss what's going on in our world with the silver tsunami. Silver tsunami is a word that we use to talk about the rise in the population of older adults. Darwin once said, "It's not the strongest of species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It's the one that is most adaptable to change." So with this silver tsunami coming along, we need to also look at technology. Either it being low-tech or high-tech technology, we need to start thinking about using a round wheel to get through our day-to-day life. But first, let's go ahead and define what technology is. So your dictionary states that technology is the scientific or knowledge put into practical use to solve a problem or invent a useful tool. It's a method or process of handling a specific technical problem. So for instance, once we lived in caves. Now we live in high-rise hotels, and we have high-rise condos and homes, and we've come a long way throughout the era and through the age. We've got low-tech and high-tech, like I said before. Well, let's look at something that's a little low-tech. Let's look at the Band-Aid. The Band-Aid is exactly 100 years old this year. It was developed by an employee at Johnson & Johnson, and he wanted to help his wife so she could go ahead and wrap her burns and cuts that she got when she was cooking in the kitchen by herself. So with a little bit of gauze and a little bit of tape, voila, 100 years later, we have it. And as a matter of fact, 42.1 million Band-Aids were sold last year in the United States. We've all used it, and we all have them in our homes. So understanding that this is something that there was a problem, and somebody found a solution to it, and that's considered low tech. So low tech, usually they're cheaper in cost. They have one use, such as a spoon, a fork, or a Band-Aid. And then you have your high-tech types of devices. Those are a little bit more costly, but the nice thing is they usually have more than one thing that they do. They are a little bit more complicated to use and not so user-friendly, but with a little work and assistance and some repetition, you can utilize them. We need to start to think today that every problem has a solution. We all just need to be a little bit more creative on how to fix it and find it. As we talk today, I want you to think about things in your life, in your home, things that you do, either as being an older adult or a caregiver of an older adult. And remember that there is a tool for that. We just have to be creative enough to find what that tool is going to be. So where do we all start? It's pretty simple. You need to know what your needs are. Think of everything and anything that you have difficulty with. Knowing what your knowledge and level of technology is, will a high-tech device work for you? Or do we need to stay with something that's a little bit more low-tech? What type of level of products might work for you? And do you happen to have the capability to utilize that in your home, such as like Wi-Fi? If it's an item that's high-tech and requires Wi-Fi, can you use that? If not, if you don't have Wi-Fi or good broadband or even have internet, some of the technology we talk about today might not work for you. But it's okay, because I've got alternatives to those. So I want you to take a second and look at this in reality of a caregiver. Here's your care recipient. Think if you've ever been in this situation, been scared of being in this situation, or know somebody that's been in it. You put your loved one down at night. Simple and easy, right? Well, what if they get up in the middle of the night? And if they have cognitive impairment, they're ready to get up and start their day. A couple of things can happen. Either they might fall, and or they might be ready to leave the house. All of these can cause caregiver stress. Caregivers might not sleep very well, might be up throughout the night. I've had caregivers that I've worked with that have told me they've slept in the bed next to the person or slept on a chair right outside the door so that they can stop whatever might happen or know if the person fell. But most of all, this type of situation causes a lot of stress and anxiety for family members. So how do we fix this? How are we going to address this need? So let's just dive right in. Let's look at some different types of technologies that might help this caregiver, who might be you, out today. And I want you foremost to think, don't forget, there is a tool for that. So breaking the ice, easy, simple. Let's talk about standing and sitting. A lot of older adults, hey, even me when I had knee surgery a couple of years ago, I couldn't get out of a chair. I had to have help and assistance. So there's a couple tools for that. One, there's a lift chair. They're pretty bulky, and they are very costly. They can cost between about $300 to $1,000. A lot of people might not have that money, but what if there was an alternative to that? It's big, it's bulky, and it goes in one place. But you can get a sit lift. It goes in any chair, only costs about $100, and it can help somebody stand up easily and simply. How about getting out of bed and knowing where you're stepping? A lot of older adults might swing their legs out of the bed and not know if there's any obstacles there, but placing some sensor lights underneath the bed can illuminate their way and help with safety and decrease falls. I have a lot of caregivers that talk to me about how they have to help their loved one out, how it hurts their back, how they're afraid they're going to get hurt. Well, if that caregiver is not in place to help that older adult, then who's going to help? So putting together some simple little devices such as these that you see here, a lift chair, a lift seat, or even a couch or chair cane, can help that older adult get up, can help them promote independency with getting up, and can save a caregiver from an injury in the future. The bathroom. Whew. The bathroom is one of the biggest places that you see falls occur. It's pretty dangerous. They're small, confined spaces, and we all need to go into one quite a few times a day. Instead of home modeling your home, I've had caregivers call me and ask me to replace their shower because their mother can't lift their leg and get into the shower. So they haven't taken a shower forever. They've only taken bird baths. Well, what if you can get them in that bathtub without having to do a multi-$1,000 remodel? Well, there's a couple devices you can do and utilize. Very low cost, no electronics required, but how about even just having a simple handle added to a bathtub for them to be able to get in and out, and or a seat. Increasing the size of your seat at your toilet, getting up from a low toilet is very, very difficult, and that could potentially lead to a fall. But how about giving somebody a little bit of assistance with having handles and or a lifted toilet seat so they don't have to stand up so far? Alert systems. I wonder how many of you have an individual with cognitive impairment, how you're scared that they're going to fall, that they might get out a door, or they might leave an area that you don't want them to leave. Utilizing call alert systems are wonderful. A lot of them aren't high-tech. These right here all happen to be low-tech. You have call bell systems, even utilizing a baby camera. Even though it says baby doesn't mean you can't use it. How about a motion detector? These wonderful devices that you see here, you just put around a doorknob. So say I watch my mom today, and I watch her through Friday, and then I have a sister who takes her on the weekends to give me a break. Well, instead of having to buy products where I'm going to have to buy 2 for both households, these devices are all portable. They're things that can go with my mother, or if we needed to evacuate during a hurricane and had to stay in a hotel, or if we went and took a nice vacation. I can utilize all of these items anywhere. Put them in a bag and they go with us. Having that alert that we're not going to stop a fall, we're not going to stop somebody trying to get out a door, but alerting a caregiver in a time period that's safe for them to get up and be able to go and help them is all we're looking for. But even better than that, we don't even have to go to electronics. Companies today in the United States, well, across the world, are constantly developing different types of things to focus on older adults and for caregivers. They understand the silver tsunami is coming, and there is a benefit to utilizing and keeping people independent in their home and in their community. So if they have cognitive impairment and you have somebody that likes to wander or leave the home all the time or even go into a room they shouldn't, how about disguising that door with a mural so it looks more like a bookcase to that person with cognitive impairment, making it not look like a door? When we're children, when you're first in kindergarten, the first thing you learn about is what a stop sign means. Big red letters, stop. So in your middle to late stages of dementia, you might see a stop sign and stop and not go past it. Might not know why you have to stop, but that is one of our youngest memories. So having one of those either on a door frame, across a door, can potentially stop somebody from going past that barrier. But another thing, the Dollar Tree, for $1, you can buy these magnetic door alarms. As soon as the door opens, it emisses a huge alarm. It's startling to anybody, even me, but it also lets family members know and alerts them that somebody's leaving a door. Not necessarily even a door outside. It could be, say, you don't want an individual in another room of the house. These are great things, and they only cost $1. It's not that hard for safety and for notification. As we've talked about, a lot of safety devices. We've also discussed and talked about falls. Well, as I said, companies are developing things all the time. Apple's jumped on board, Samsung's on board. All these devices, it used to just be the fall alert system. How many of you remember the commercial? I've fallen and I can't get up. Well, there's more devices than just that one. Sometimes it's thinking about what might work for you. I also like to push with my caregivers. It's not just the individual you're caring for, but the caregiver should have a fall alert or some type of 911 alert system on them. Because for my grandfather, he had dementia. But if something had happened to me and I told him to get the phone and call 911, he wouldn't have been able to do that. He, in the late stages, didn't even know what a telephone was. So if I had fallen and gotten hurt, how would I have called 911? So it's just as important for caregivers to think about having some type of alert or fall system on them if they ever run into an emergency. And it could be that your loved one fell and you went to get them up and you fell too. Worst case scenario. But it can happen. So as you can see here, there's quite a few devices. There's even a device that they've called the Walk-A-Wise. This device, it tracks what a walker does. So even if the individual doesn't have cognitive impairment, what about forgetting where their walker is? Or they always walk away from their walker, they never remember it. Well, this system goes on the wheels of any walker, and it alerts a caregiver if the walker is detected to be in one position for too long, and or if it falls over. It's a great alert system. You can check somebody's activity during the day, see if they're staying active. But what if people don't like wearables? I have a lot of caregivers that say, my mother would never wear a watch. My mother would never wear a pendant. My grandmother even had a pendant. Unfortunately, when she took a shower, she took it off and put it on a hook way above the shower. Went and took her shower. Unfortunately, one day she fell in the shower. She broke her hip. She could not reach her call bell system. My grandfather was in another room with dementia, and she couldn't get him to answer him to get help. So she stayed in that shower for a very, very long time, waiting for assistance. They're waterproof. You can wear them in the shower. Falls do happen anywhere in the house, so making sure that you have those devices on you at all times. But what if they don't wear a wearable, like I said? How about a Wallabot? This device, it is a little high-tech, but it's easy to install. You preset contacts in it if somebody does fall, and it scans a room for falls. If it detects it, it works as a two-way speaker between you and a preset contact. What's better than that? I don't even have to wear something and it tells me I fell. Well, yep, it sure does. You can place these in common places that an older adult is in. You can have them in the living room, you can put one in the wall in the bathroom and in the bedroom. And then it scans and helps you. We said wandering. This is so scary. Just like they have Amber Alerts, they have what they call Silver Alerts. State of North Carolina, when somebody ends up getting out without anybody knowing, we set off a Silver Alert, notifying individuals of what they're wearing, and it's a very scary time frame for a caregiver. Well, how can we be a little bit more proactive? State of North Carolina, we have the Silver Alert, everybody goes on alert, 911, and we look for them. But before we get to that step, how about looking at GPS systems? The Smart Sole is wonderful. As long as they have their shoes on them, you'll find them through their app. There's also watches and even just things that hook onto their pants. But it allows individuals to be located through GPS mapping, through Google Maps. You can bring it up on your phone and see exactly where they are. The neat thing about the Smart Sole and the other watch that we have up here, you can set it up as geofencing. And it will even alert a caregiver if somebody's reached a certain point that you don't want them to be at, like the driveway. Get alert that they're there, you can go out and get them and bring them back in the house. But safety doesn't always stop with falls and everything like that. There's things such as medication safety. How about using a telephone? Like I said, my grandfather in the end didn't even know what a telephone was. But a simple low-tech device is a medical alert bracelet. These can save somebody's life. Understanding that dementia is a diagnosis, just like diabetes, just like having a pacemaker. This, having an emergency alerts bracelet, necklace, something on an individual can alert first responders to know that this individual has cognitive impairment. So they might resist care. They might say they're fine, but are they really? They might say, I'm going to the store, when really they don't know where they're going. So having this some type of alert, medical alert, saying that they have dementia or some type of cognitive impairment could save somebody and also help first responders in an emergency type of situation. Medications. In the United States, day after day, individuals misuse medications. Sometimes it's not because they're abusing medications on purpose. Sometimes, especially with older adults, and if you have cognitive impairment, it could be that you missed a medication. You might have thought you took it, but you didn't. Or what about double taking it because you forgot you took it? So there's different things and tools and types of products that you can use today to help manage medications in the home. Amazon has come up with a single bubble pack. These, they put all of your medications into little packs. So as a caregiver, you wake up in the morning and you take the one little pack, not the whole pill box, not all the medication bottles, but that one little container, and put it on the counter for the older adult to take. There's also pill boxes that we usually use in long-term care facilities, and all you do is pop it out like a Skittle, and you take it. But you can see and track if the individual is taking more than they should have, if they need to take more, what's going on. There's also boxes that have alerts, not only visually, but they also have auditory alerts. And then you can go to the high-tech side. You have the Hero and the Pura. These are wonderful devices. They do require Wi-Fi, but they come to your home and they automatically dispense your medications. They set off alarms, and you can also, it sends alerts to caregivers if medications have been missed and not touched. And the alarms will go off until the medication is taken. So how about being safe? A lot of the older adults, a lot of us take medications that are life-saving types of things. So medication is something that we all need to look at, and maybe look at how we're addressing the medication in our home. What do you lose? How about your keys, your glasses, your wallet, dentures, and remote controls? So there's two types of devices. You can have your low tech, which, like right here, this just requires batteries. It's a little remote control, it's color coordinated. Then you got your little tiny devices, and you can stick them on the back of a remote control. God forbid you find it, and or put one in your wallet, put it on your glass case. And all you have to do is press the button and it will beep and buzz until you find it. Then you can go to the high-tech side, utilizing things such as the nuts or the tiles. These are great because you can look up the device through your app. And not only that, you push a little button and it will beep that device so you can find it. That's common. As we get cognitive impairment, heck, if any of us, we can lose things often. I have tiles on about everything in my house, and it helps us. Now, if you can develop something that would find dentures, I'll jump on board and I'll buy stock because that's one of the most common other items that's lost. But we don't have GPS for those yet. So safety and technology doesn't stop in the home. How about your vehicle? Have you ever thought about your vehicle? How many of you have tried to get an older adult, or anybody, myself, with knee surgery? To get out of a vehicle was an act of Congress. It was so difficult. I had to have somebody help me because I couldn't utilize my leg and I couldn't pull myself up. So there's a lot of simple devices that could help you make that car transition to the doctor's appointment a little bit easier and safer, such as the little tiny cushion here. It spins 360. You swing your legs out and then somebody helps you out. I'm sure you've all seen the infomercial on the car cane. Well, I've got one, and it works wonders. All it is a little thing that goes in your door, and it makes it a handle so you can stand up and get yourself up, instead of trying to pull on somebody and tug on somebody, which A, is going to hurt yourself as a caregiver or family member, but also can seriously injure that senior or that older adult. So there's different types of little things like that. Interestingly enough, a couple weeks ago, I had a caregiver who called me and said she had to take her husband to the dentist. They were driving down the road. She thought she was being safe. He has severe dementia. Put him in the back seat and turn on the safety device, the children's locks, so he couldn't get out. Well, while she was driving down the 70 to the dentist, he undid his seatbelt and tried climbing over the front of the vehicle. Okay? She was going 50 miles an hour down the road. She was able to safely get the car to the side of the road and get him strapped back into the seatbelt, get him calmed down, and go along her way. But that could have been pretty dangerous. So there's this little device. You can use it for children. They use it a lot with people with autism. But you can also use it with people with cognitive impairment. It's called a seatbelt buddy. For $14, that individual seatbelt will stay attached. All the caregiver does is they have a little tool and they clip it in there. But don't worry, if you're in an accident, 911 will cut the seatbelt off too. But there's also a way of having your advance directives and or knowing what's wrong with somebody. You can always get a seatbelt cover that says what's going on. You can see some of those here. You can say you have a pacemaker, even that this person has cognitive impairment, please be aware. Because the worst thing is for a caregiver to be unconscious in a car accident and unable to express what the other person in the vehicle might have. And they might be resistant to care. They might fight and be combative. They might wander away from the scene. So having that notification on a seatbelt and or on the window of the vehicle could save lives. The list is endless. The clapper, it does still exist, I promise. It's only $20, but you know what? If you clap your hands, your lights go on. The moment when you realize that you can't turn on a light yourself, you realize that you're starting to lose your independence. Most of these devices that we're talking about today, it's building independence, it's building confidence in our older adults, but it's also helping caregivers in their roles. How about, for instance, a caregiver lives upstairs and their mom might live downstairs, and their mom has to yell, "Come get me, come turn on the light." Well, what if she could just clap her hands and turn it on? It's amazing what's out there. Sometimes it takes just a little Googling and you can find it. Even just putting in, "I need help getting out of the car" for older adults, and it will come up with tons of devices. As we said, we're in a time of change now. Utilizing devices and utilizing different technologies is what we need to do. But let's go back to the simple activities. Going back to things, it doesn't have to be about computer games or anything like that, but exercising at home, doing games and puzzles, journaling. I've been working with my caregivers in my region to have them tell me their story and have me tell them their loved one's story to me. I want to know, who are they? They're not the dementia, they're not the Alzheimer's, but they are a person and they were somebody and were great. And I have them tell you your story. This is a great opportunity to sit down and finally write it down. It's a great gift for family down the road. Share it at Christmas. How about even writing down a little family newsletter? We used to write. If it wasn't in writing, it was never said, is what my mom always said. So let's start writing, starting pen pals. Talking about and speaking about newsletters, I found this wonderful program. It's a way to get families from all across the United States or world together to help build a family newsletter for an older adult. It's a simple app. Everybody signs up through the app, and you put in pictures just like on Facebook or Instagram and put a story. Oh, look, here's Susie. It's her first birthday. Once a month or bi-weekly or even quarterly, whatever you decide, it will print it and mail a hard copy to the person that you wanted to receive it. It's a way to bring the family together, get information out there, and have some fun as a family. There's so much things to do, even electronics. You can go online and do tours, audiobooks, and even virtual meetups now. But how about dealing with dementia? That's what we're here for, right? Well, a good old weighted blanket sometimes can decrease your anxiety. That pressure as an infant, when they cry, what do? We swaddle them in a tight blanket. Well, why don't you try one of those? The good old baby doll therapy, some busy boards or a busy apron. There's a fun one that I've been doing with the last couple months. A lot of my caregivers love it, and even my recipients love it. People say doll therapy. Oh, I don't want my mom having a baby doll. But you'd be surprised at what the baby dolls and the robotic animals can do for an older adult. They can bring joy, they can help interactions, help decrease isolation, increase socialization. And I've had caregivers tell me that my mom sat down for 10 minutes and I got something done. So let's see what it's doing for my caregivers and for my care recipients in my area.
What do you have? Hey, what is it? Oh, is it soft? Yep. Oh, you like Annie? Oh, he loves Annie.
Hello, banana.
He's licking his paw. He's being cute, being silly. Boots, sit back up, Boots. Kitty, kitty. Let's talk to Annie. His hand. Is he soft?
He is soft.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So isn't that kind of something a little neat to look at? It's fun watching what people can do. The interaction is just amazing with all these clients that you just saw. They really did think that those animals were real. So some other things to think about, especially during COVID. Know that there are helplines out there and there's counseling lines. They're toll-free and it can give the support to caregivers that they might need. Also looking at blogs and social media, Right now, there's things coming from the Alzheimer's Association, Dementia Alliance North Carolina. Your local support groups are even going online. Contacting maybe your senior center too and seeing what kind of activities they are doing. One of ours happens to even be doing bingo over Zoom. They're loving it. And another one of mine, they do every morning Facebook Live gym classes. So they're trying to keep people engaged and encourage them to continue to stay fit. So looking at different ways that you can start getting engaged, even as a caregiver, with your care recipient and keeping them together. We need to make that connection. Trying to help families get together, learning how to Skype or maybe face-to-face. There is something, yes, having a voice over the phone is one thing, but seeing somebody's eyes and how they're reacting to your emotions and your feelings is priceless. So start utilizing things like that. Now let's move on to the fun stuff, smart speaker systems. Everybody hears about Alexa and Google and all that. They're wonderful and can be great to help start setting up a smart home. But something I want you to think about. Can the person say Google? Or can they say Alexa? That's the first step in choosing what type of home speaker system you have, or smart speaker. What types of things can smart speakers do? They can keep track. They can give you reminders. There's even simple meditation types of programs. You can keep your medications reminded through the system. And Alexa even has a great feature now that they did. How many of you had a speaker system in your house, and when it was time for dinner, your mom or dad might have called over the speaker and said, "It's dinner"? Well, you can do that through Alexa devices. I could even drop in on my son right now, all the way in New Bern. I'm standing in Raleigh, and I can check in on him and make sure he's doing his work like he's supposed to right now by utilizing the drop-in feature. So why couldn't you do that through the home? If somebody's in the other room and they need assistance, they could always say, "Alexa, drop in." And you can speak back and forth between the two devices. A lot of these devices, if you upgrade to the higher tech ones, they even have video camera effects. You can communicate through the portal, the Alexa, and the Google face-to-face with family members. What's greater than that? You don't even need a laptop. Making sure that the devices are easily accessible to the person that you're trying to meet the need for. People with cognitive impairment sometimes might need a bigger clock, something that states the day of the week. How about even just a memory phone? I had a person call me the other day and she said, "My mom keeps calling the wrong person when she's trying to call me. She's not getting it on her cell phone, or she's forgetting the phone number." Well, with a picture phone, it's preset, and you just put the picture, you push it, and it calls the person that you want by looking at the picture. There's also systems such as the GrandPad. A lot of people say older adults don't like technology, but you'd be surprised. The Atari was developed back in the 70s. They do know about computers. Always keeping the language when you're working with technology and looking at it simple, such as, what's an app? Okay, you said move the mouse. I don't want a mouse in my house. Do I have to feed it cheese? So what does that mean to them? Using it and taking it slow, taking a deep breath, using easy-to-use language, explaining the benefits of why some type of device or something might help them and show them hands-on. Explaining the benefits is a wonderful way to get them to buy into the technology. Write it down. Write instructions down. Repeat your words constantly. Early stage people with dementia, they love things written down, but repetition is key. Also, giving them confidence and getting them used to the technology. Patience is key. So let's look at that scenario we looked at earlier, the crazy scenario we put our loved one down. By utilizing some of the technology we talked about today, either with alarms or cameras or even a fall alert system, look at the end result. It's a lot different. If they fall and they have a fall alert system, they go straight to the hospital and we take care of it. With cameras and bed alarms and things like that, a caregiver can walk to a recipient and put them down safely and quietly. This is what the caregiver looks like. A lot less stress, helps them out, keeps everybody on the same page, and also can decrease that stress we talked about. During COVID, as a caregiver, time is precious. So why don't we start utilizing the Walmart pickups or the Harris Teeter pickups or grocery delivery and looking at having our medications delivered to the house? When you're talking about the difference between an hour-long shopping extravaganza, and that's if you don't have to take your loved one with you, and a drive up and pick up in 5 minutes, that's the time I just gave you. Our agency ourselves, on our website, we have developed some cheat sheets to some of the devices that we've talked about today. How to set up a Google, how to set up an Alexa. How about those devices we talked about? I know I kind of went fast through some stuff, and there's billions of products out there. But if you go to our website, you can utilize some of the cheat sheets that we have on different types of things, such as home safety, wandering, and falls. If you've learned anything today, one of the biggest things in life, like I said, thinking outside the box in a new era. Technology is our partner in aging and in independence in our loved ones and for our caregivers. And thinking that old, wonderful commercial we used to think, people plus technology, it is priceless. So starting to think outside that box and working on a new era of thinking of being in the home. Here's some different types of resources that you can seek out. You have the North Carolina Assistive Technologies and other different types of programs, such as even the Alzheimer's store. Start looking at your options. Start Googling. It can be fun. I love doing it, and that's how I found a lot of these devices. So let me go ahead and take a little second, though. We've talked about a lot of devices. So in an era of where we're socially isolated, families aren't able to see each other as much and as often, how about keeping communication about mom and dad's needs? There's apps out there, either for Apple or Android, that are available to help caregivers communicate to other family members what their needs or what their loved ones' needs are, such as the Institute on Aging or Care to You, have free apps that allow you to invite other family members in. And you can journal, you can set up reminders of mom has a doctor's appointment next Thursday at 2 o'clock. And it's a good way to get that family care circle together, have a team together to care for your loved one. But how about Facebook? We see so many commercials on Facebook about these chat rooms and blogs and things. Maybe starting a family one. My family, we happen to have one because I live in hurricane world, and my family is all over the United States, that we developed our own Hurricane Brown type of group. It's a closed group. I can only invite those that I want. But when a hurricane's happening or there's something in our family that's come up, I shoot a Facebook post to my group, and then everybody that's connected in that group gets to see it. So such as, Mom, Dad, we're evacuating to Bryson City, North Carolina. We're leaving tonight. Well, everybody in that group's going to know where I evacuated to. But you can do the same thing. You can do little videos. Hey, Mom today was singing a song. Look, here's a video of Mom singing a song. You can do Mom has a doctor's appointment. I will fill you all in how it goes on Thursday. Having those simple little connections. I live in North Carolina. My parents live in Colorado. There's a lot of elder orphans, individuals that live in a location that their families don't. And that communication is not as knocking on the door next door type thing. So utilizing some of those types of things, such as apps or social media, can help everybody come and be on the same page when it comes to somebody's care. And who doesn't like seeing themselves on the internet waving? Like I said, they're private groups. Nobody can see in those groups and or these apps without your permission. And it's highly secure. So why not reach out and start trying something new? Where are we going in the future? I want to let you know the United States government understands how assistive technologies can help and benefit older adults as we're aging in our population. Our government alone is initialized a group of individuals together to start meeting to discuss where we're going to be at in the future and how to keep individuals at home. With that, even Australia, they've put money from their federal government and federal budget into assistive technology development for older adults. It's endless. Individuals know that there's a need, and they're working hard to try to meet that need. What about robots? You know, a lot of people say artificial intelligence or AI. Well, we're already in that era. That's what your smart home speakers are. The Google Assists and the Google Macs and even the Alexas. That's just what that is. It is artificial intelligence. You always do have the capability with any type of these devices to set a privacy or mute it so that you're not being listened to. I hear that all the time. My mom will be scared, the government will be listening. Well, they do have safety. Your privacy is kept quiet. There are ways to turn off a screen, even on your computer. If you want to talk to somebody but you don't want them to see your picture, you can just put no camera on there. Things are developing constantly. It's going to come into an era. We have robotic animals. Where are we going to be at tomorrow? Remember that movie back in the 80s, Short Circuit? Stay Alive, Number 5. Well, we're not too far from that. Companies overseas and over in the United States are working on different types of robotics to help and aid older adults to keep them independent. Because we got to think, some people may not have family or a caregiver to take care of them. Not only that, too, there is a wonderful website out there. They've really ramped up during this time of COVID. They've always been there, but they're really doing a lot for us today. It's called seniorplanet.org. I know I talked about smart speakers and how to set up stuff, but even how do you work a cell phone? Sometimes older adults don't know how to use it. There's so many apps and downloads and upgrades and everything on a phone. But Senior Planet has free classes for older adults. Not only that, even cheat sheets on how to download an app, how to set up an email, and they have classes and even a toll-free number that if you're having problems doing this at home, you can call and ask an expert. They specifically work with older adults. They know the language. They know how to take it slow, repeat information often, and help us. That's what a lot of us are here about today. We're here to help individuals gain independence, gain tools for your toolbox. Mine just have to be on the electronic side and technology side. Now you just got to dig into that toolbox and start using those tools to help you and your older adults in your life. And as I said, technology is key. It's priceless. It's something we can all use. So going on the internet, even AARP has information on technology resources for older adults and how to use from fitness to apps. So go ahead, jump on tonight. Think of something that you need help with, Google it, and see what device is out there for you. So something to think about. We've all started to see it during COVID and under the circumstances that we have now. I have caregivers that talk to me about taking your loved one to a doctor's appointment is not an easy task. A lot of caregivers say, a 15-minute appointment could take 2 to 3 hours. By the time you get the individual dressed, get them in the car, get them in the appointment, and get home, that's a large journey. Not only that, any sudden change with somebody who has dementia, it's very difficult for them, and a caregiver can usually pay 2 to 3 days of behaviors for just that 15-minute doctor's appointment. So COVID's kind of forced our industry, the healthcare industry, all around into telemedicine. Hopefully many of you have been engaged in this. It's very simple, but it's given us a new perspective on healthcare. Also, it can help caregivers out. Like I said, a 3-hour journey with a couple days of behaviors with just sitting in your home and laying eyes on a doctor and talking to them. COVID's bad, but it's kind of forced us to be good with our technology. Hopefully from here on out, we'll continue to honestly have that caregiver technology with having the telehealth. Not only that, there's also companies popping up where that good old-fashioned having a doctor at home, they're coming back. Wouldn't it be nice to just be at home, especially if you have a loved one that's bedbound? You're talking a stretcher transport. That can cost $2,000 on average for a round-trip for 15 minutes to see a doctor. But what if I could tell you that doctor could come back to your house and you don't have to leave, but your needs are still being met from the health care side? There's doctors that make house calls. They might be in your area. Look it up. See if they might come to your house. Couldn't that help you in the long run as being a caregiver if the doctor came to you instead of you going to him? It's amazing where we're going at in the future. And like I said, technology, it's not something to be scared of. If your doctor's office offers these opportunities, even home monitoring systems, some doctor's offices, I know even the VA, is starting to track blood pressures through electronic monitoring. How about if you have diabetes? They keep showing on the TV that little monitoring thing. Checking your blood can be so excruciating. Talking about every day for hours on end, constantly pricking your finger. Well, I have a friend who has an 18-year-old son. He's got it. He can go swimming with it. And all she does is check the blood sugars through the app. If it notifies them of anything, such as high blood sugar or low, it will send an alert through their cell phone and let them know, hey, gotta get some insulin. But guess what? There was never a prick of that finger. It's all electronic. We're getting to a new era. We need to start embracing what our doctors are offering us and our medical providers. So looking in your community, talking to your primary care physician, seeing what they might be able to help you. Because in the end, it's going to help a caregiver out. It's going to take the pressure and the stress off of you. And we know wellness and well-being, either mental or physical, is important. Maybe you need to talk to a counselor. Many counselors out there are doing conferencing over Zoom. And like I said, always reaching out to a support group. In my region alone, I have 4 support groups. My caregivers have even pushed for my support groups to be weekly. Usually they met in person once a month, but they need that extra help during COVID. So see what your community might have. Call your local senior center. See if they know of any resources. A lot of them have family caregiver specialists just like me, and they know what's going on locally and ways to support you and help you. They might have that support group you might just need. We all need a little support, especially now. And sometimes listening to other people and getting that feedback from them might just be what might get you through the next 24 hours. So explore your options, talk to primary care physicians, talk to your senior center, and definitely check out seniorplanet.org.